Hey guys, Brad from simpleguitar.com here, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about how to start hearing the notes in your head. Now this is interesting because one of the most captivating things is watching a really great guitar player solo and be really creative. So how do they get to the point of being able to play so amazingly well and creatively and expressively and do it off the top of their head? That's one of the coolest things. Are they just memorizing licks and reusing them? Are they just playing scales up and down a whole bunch to be able to do that? Nope. The real trick that they use, really great guitar players, is when they play something, they don't play it unless they hear it in their head first. This is one skill that every great guitar player has. They hear the music before they play it, and you can start to develop this skill right now. In fact, the sooner that you do start working on this, the more musical your solos and improvisation and playing off the top of your head is going to be. And that is going to captivate the people that listen to you and make them super impressed with your playing. What most guitar players do is they will go and they will learn scales. And then when they're asked to solo or to improvise, what they do is what I call puking notes. They just play a bunch of the random notes within the scale and they hope that it sounds good. But there's no real thought about what they're actually playing. It's just random noodling. Now, I'm totally guilty of doing this too. I've done my fair share of it. Everybody does. But there's a better way. I want you to be able to move beyond that and start sounding more musical and not just puking out notes without any thought. So here's the first thing that you need to understand. One, your guitar is not a musical instrument. Think about that for a second. If you sit your guitar down on the stand or leave it in its case, do you hear music coming from it ever? No, of course not, because the music doesn't come from the guitar. Sure, you can be inspired by a great guitar, and playing really cool guitars is inspiring and will inspire you to play better, but the music comes from you. All the music is inside of you already, and you just have to learn to get that out. The guitar itself doesn't produce the music. It's just the tool that we use to produce the music. And when we're learning scales and chords and arpeggios and music theory and stuff like that, all of that just acts as a framework for us to be able to use that we get to be creative with. It's just like when you build a house, you frame the house with 2x4s or 2x6s with wood, right? And then they go in and they put the sheetrock in and they put in the different finishes and they make the house look the way that you want it to look when it's done. The scales and the chords and the arpeggios are the same thing for us. They're merely just the framework, but the finishing touches and the things that make it feel like a house is the music that comes from within you. What you do creatively with your note choices and your phrasing is like you putting the finishing touches on the house. So how do you start to hear the notes in your head instead of just puking them out? Well, here's what I'm going to challenge you to do. When you are learning a new scale or a chord or an arpeggio, whatever it is, I want you to play it and sing along with it at the same time. Now, there's no need to be embarrassed about this because it's not about your singing. It's about training your ear and your brain to hear these notes and to internalize them so that when you hear them in your head, you know how to get them out. But this way, you're going to do more than just understand what you're playing with your fingers. It's going to be internalized a lot deeper. So let's take a scale like this, for example. Let's say that I'm just playing a major scale. And what you would do is once you're comfortable playing that scale up and down, then you start singing along with it, okay? So you start to just, and it doesn't matter how good you sound. I'm going to sound terrible. I already know it, okay? But you're just going to la, 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 la. You don't have to say la. You can say whatever you want. You can just... But the idea is that you're playing the same note that you're singing. And so it's going to take a minute. You're going to have to check yourself and make sure that the note that you're singing is the same note as what you're playing on your guitar. This is so valuable and will help you internalize the sounds of these notes so that you can recall them later, so much more than just playing the scale up and down. And that will free you up to be creative with it. You can really only play guitar as well as you can hear. And doing this is going to help you hear things better. Now, once you're comfortable with playing the scale up and down and singing along with it, la, 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 then it's time to step it up. Okay, we're going to go on to the next thing that you need to do that's going to help you internalize these notes so that you hear them in your head, and then you can use that to recall and play the things that you hear in your head. The thing that we need to do next is you need to start testing yourself. Testing yourself is actually super important with anything that you're learning on guitar, because having to recall things makes you learn it way deeper and leads to true learning than if you just do it once and you never test yourself and have to recall it. So I'm going to have you start testing yourself on the sounds of the notes in the scale. So what you're going to do is you're going to play a scale and you're going to sing along. La, 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 la. But then as you do it, you're going to stop at a random note and not play the guitar and sing it. So you're going to go la, 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 and then check yourself. La, la, right? So the idea is you're going to play through the scale and check each note by stopping your guitar playing and making sure that what you're singing is the note that you're supposed to be playing on the guitar. So you play, you stop on a random note, you sing that note without the guitar, and then you play the note on the guitar to check yourself. Do this with every note in the scale. Then you start doing it randomly, and you start doing it with random notes and stopping at random times. Testing yourself and singing along with this is actually pretty simple, but it's important because it starts to open up your ear and helps you internalize the sound of these notes so that later you will hear licks and you'll hear phrases and you'll hear musical things in your head. But if you can't recall them and translate them to your actual playing, it's going to be a lot harder. So this helps you internalize it and associate it with where you're playing on the guitar. The more that you do this, the easier it's going to be. And you're going to internalize the sounds of all of these notes and their position on the fretboard. Now, here's the next step for you. The next step would be, once you're doing that with a scale, that's all good and well, right? But that's not very musical. So what you do is you practice when you're improvising or soloing. Instead of just playing a scale and puking out notes and playing randomly and hoping that it sounds good, what you're going to do is you're going to pause. You're going to give yourself some space, and you're going to try to think about a phrase in your head and hear it in your head. Then you're going to try to play it on the guitar. That's the next step for you. If you can start to hear a phrase in your head and then play it on the guitar, cool thing is you give your soloing more space, which sounds better. If you have a little bit more space when you solo and improvise, that's a good thing. A quote I heard from my band teacher, Mr. Dixon, one time was something about music isn't just the notes that you play, but it's the space between the notes. I don't know who originally said it, but I love that because most guitar players don't leave enough space when they solo. They just puke notes out constantly, and it's this constant stream. So if you pause and you think about what you want to play next before you play it, it's going to make your soloing sound better. Now, a really cool story. Years ago, my brother took me to go see Johnny Lang, who is an amazing guitar player, blues guitar player. Came on the scene when he was like 15, and everybody thought he was like this 40 or 50-year-old man. You know, he sang great, plays guitar great. Anyway, my brother and I went to go see him, and one of the cool things that he did, he's such a good guitar player that he would improvise these solos, and at the same time, he would sing the solo into the mic. So he's playing and singing the same thing at the same time. And that's an amazing example of somebody who can hear what they're playing and play it. And if you work on this, if you work on hearing and thinking about the phrases that you want to play and hearing it in your head and then playing it, you become better and better and faster with it. And that way you can start to sound really amazing and impressive when you play for people. And it makes you sound like yourself, and it makes you way more musical than just playing a bunch of random notes and hoping it sounds good in the end. So do that. Start singing along with your scales, your chords, your arpeggios, whatever it is that you're learning, you can sing along with it and you can start to internalize those sounds so that you can start to recall that later. Then make sure that you're testing yourself, that you're stopping in random places and testing yourself to make sure that you're internalizing that sound. And if you haven't got it yet, make sure you replay it and continue singing and continue working at it. And then you're going to start trying to solo and create your own solos and improvise and just make stuff up over like a backing track or something. And you're going to pause, try to think about a phrase, and then play that phrase on your guitar. So go do that. Have fun. Start developing your ear by singing along with your playing and starting to internalize the sound of the notes so that later you can think of and recall your own phrases for solos and stuff. Make sure that you test yourself and most of all, have fun with it. Okay. This isn't a huge deal, but the sooner that you start working on this and having fun with it, the faster your ear develops and you can hear things way better because like I said, you can only play as well as you can hear. So if we can start to open up your ear so that you can hear things better, that's only going to make your playing a lot better faster. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching this video, but I do want you to know that I have a free gift for you at my website. If you go to simpleguitar.com/top10, you can pick up the top 10 things to learn on guitar first. It's a guide about the top 10 things that I teach students all the time that get them the most bang for their buck when they start playing guitar. A lot of times we start working on things and it's mostly exercises and kind of boring stuff, but these things will actually get you a lot of results really quickly and start making you sound more like a confident guitar player instead of feeling like a total beginner. And that way, when you play, you don't have to feel embarrassed or anything. You can impress all your friends and your family whenever you play for them. So go to simpleguitar.com/top10, pick up that guide, have fun with it. Start developing your playing and your ear by singing along and testing yourself. And I will see you guys in the next video.